Hello, and thanks for following the podcast. I'm glad you're here today. So, today we're just going to talk about some issues. First issue, this guy came to the Facebook page earlier today complaining about a dog. He had his trail camera out, and a deer came through, and then 3 to 4 minutes behind the deer came a dog, a pretty fat dog. Didn't really look like a hunting dog to me. It looked like possibly it was somebody's pet that had escaped or whatever, or who knows. We've got instances of dogs being kidnapped out of the woods and taken by rescuers all over the place. Who knows? It could have been a dog that um that somebody stole. It could have been somebody's pet, and it could have been somebody's hunting dog. A lot of options could have been there. But Sean, we're going to call him Sean, he insisted that this was somebody intentionally hunting his property. So I offered Sean the opportunity to be on the podcast. He didn't want to do that, um, but he continued to comment on the post and make all kinds of what I consider troll comments. He talked about how it was legal to shoot dogs where he was and some other things. And I'm going to talk about a couple of them. One, he said that when he's hunting, that nobody even knows. But when people are running dogs, that there's trucks lined up on the road and everybody knows they're there. Okay, Sean, that sounds great. So I asked you for pictures. I said, you got a picture of this dog running past this trail camera behind this deer, several minutes behind this deer, but behind this deer. Where's the picture of the trucks? Where's the pictures of hunters? Where's the pictures of the people that are intentionally hunting your land? I didn't get those pictures. I got silence. I got a change of subject. I had something else we had to talk about. So, facts are important. And if you're going to say somebody's intentionally hunting your land, that's wrong. If somebody's intentionally hunting your land, it's wrong. They shouldn't be doing it. But you also have to allow for there may be some other things. It brings me to deer hunters in general. Most of them are really good people. I mean, really good people. But there is this small percentage that complain constantly. It's your fault that they haven't killed the biggest deer in the world on their 5 acres of property that they own. And everything you do is a problem to them, and they don't want you to even look in their direction. And it's a very small percentage of people, but man, do they complain. So let's go back to Sean's thing, for instance. He talked on and on and on about landowner rights. And when several members of the page pressured him on landowner rights about where his land was and a map, we kind of wanted to see a map as to where his land was at and what was around it, because you really can't comment on something if you don't have the information. Somebody pointed out that the camera he had, that the caption in the camera said lease. So they asked him, you're talking about landowner rights. Do you own this land or do you lease it? Well, Sean stated he leased it. That's great. Leasing hunting land has gotten a lot of people the opportunity to hunt some private land, do some good, help some farmers contain the deer population. It's a great idea. I'm all for it. But when pressured on this, it turns out that the landowner whose property Sean is standing on while he's complaining about dogs, I'm going to say that again. Sean is standing on this man's land complaining about dogs. And the man that owns the land, the landowner, is leasing 1,700 acres. I think it's just to the east or west of this property to a dog hunting club. Now let that sink in for a minute. The man that owns the land does not appear to have a problem with the hunting dogs. Because let me tell you something, that landowner could put a stop to this immediately. He could kick those dog hunters off his land, but he's leasing the land to them. He has no problem with it. So that's a real head scratcher for me. I'm sitting here going, so the man's letting you hunt his property, and you're complaining about dogs. And the man is leasing property to the people that hunt with dogs. I don't get it. If you were standing on my land and you were complaining about the way I used my land, I would invite you to the gate, tell you to get your stuff, have a good day, and I'll use my land the way I want to, and you go find somewhere else to hunt. That's what I would do. I don't really think your landowner understands the ruckus that you're causing on social media. I really don't. We've got a pretty large piece of land, and my family are fairly large landowners. And when I hear this landowner argument, and I start looking at it, and somebody owns 5 to 10 acres, and they act like they own the world. Yesterday, I hunted with a man. He's my blood relative that owns about half the county. And I'm not being facetious. He owns a lot of land. In not just one county, in multiple counties. He is a big, big farmer. Big farmer. Very down to earth man. Very easygoing. One of the nicest men I know. He's a lot nicer than I am, I'll tell you that. But he doesn't have this attitude of my land, my land, my land. There's very few posted signs on his property. Now, he'd like for you to let him know what you got going on. But around the hog farms and the turkey and chicken farms, he's got that posted up because you don't want somebody going in there, taking a bunch of disease in there and wiping out your crop. He's my blood relative, and I don't go on his hog farm. If I have a dog that leaves the club and goes onto the hog farm, I get one of the guys that works at the hog farm to retrieve my dog. He doesn't have a problem with me going into the hog farm. But I don't. I think I've been in there once in 8 years, and that's because there wasn't anybody else to help me. Because it's that's his livelihood. And I'm not going to be the one that messes it up. Ain't no way. But back to this issue. So you're standing on somebody else's property, telling them how you expect them to use their property, and at the same time complaining that you're standing for landowner rights. Sean, I don't get it. It don't make sense. And then a couple of people came in there commenting to support you, claiming landowner rights. One guy popped in there and said, well, I got my leases written such and such. I get to control who trespasses and who don't. That's great, brother. It's your property. You do with it like you want. In this case, it ain't Sean's property. But you defending him. You're actually saying that he should do things on the property he's leasing that you don't allow on your property. That don't make sense. Now let's get down and talk about my chicken for a minute, because Sean had to bring up my chicken. We've posted a couple of times on the page about people that have shot dogs, been convicted in criminal court of felonies, and sued for large amounts of money, like $200,000 and more. We had a recent case that's actually going to be first court appearance October 30th where a dog was shot. And people got in there and commented about, oh, you're supposed to shoot the dog if they're messing with your livestock and all this other stuff. Ain't no livestock involved in this. This is people just being mean, just going there and shooting somebody's dog. But Sean was one of the commenters. He jumped right in there and said, oh, in my state, it's legal to shoot a dog if they're messing with your livestock. Ain't one of these cases about a dog messing with livestock. But he had to say it. And I had to confirm with him. I just want to make sure that I wasn't talking out of school. I asked him point blank, did you say this? And he said yes. And I took a screenshot of it because, people tend to lie. Which brings me to my next point. And this might be the last point for today. People lying. So in the picture that Sean put up about landowner rights, about land that he don't own, he was talking about people out on the road in trucks and so on and so forth, but he didn't have a single picture of that. I do know that if people are hunting with dogs and the dogs start going to the road, at least my family, we go out there and try and catch the dogs. We do try and go out there with one or two trucks. We don't have the whole club sitting out there. But, to each his own. We asked Sean, is that your dog in the picture? He said no. And how dare you ask me? A man's word should be his bond. Okay, Sean, if a man's word is his bond, you talked about shooting dogs because of livestock on cases where no livestock was involved. You've talked about landowner rights on land that you don't own. So what part of your word is actually your bond? Where's the truth? I'm thoroughly confused about your stance on stuff. Look here, don't shoot hunting dogs. End of story, don't do it. Don't do it. It ain't worth it. And be careful who you follow. Because Sean's out there throwing out some really bad information. And I really hope that the person that owns his land sees these videos, sees his post, hears this podcast, and has a talk with Sean. I mean, really, it don't make no sense. It don't make sense at all. Look, I'm rambling. I'm going to get out of here. Don't shoot hunting dogs. Have a good day.